Limited here, 2v2 Faction Battle Tournament, Quarterfinals, Game 3. This is Ruins of Argus, blue team for the Orks. For the first time, Toilailee and Tex using different commanders. This is Toilailee's mech boy teleporting commander that fights range combat, and also support, disrupt, build structures, and repair, does good DPS as well. Alongside Tex, plays the Commando knob, infiltrating commander that shoots you, stabs you, and blows you up. Orky style, taking shots from scouts in the garrison. For the Space Marines, Codex and Dark Riku sticking to their main commanders. Codex rocking a Force Commander, fights in melee combat, good offense, disruption, support, and he can tank like crazy too. Riku alongside is his Apothecary support commander that fights in melee combat by default, can get a ranged weapon, starts off with a targeted heal and a passive health regeneration. Already there's a stun bomb which stuns those garrison scouts but does not stun the Apothecary. Double shooters up for both of the Orks. Space Marines with the Tactical Marine Squad each, nothing out of the ordinary so far then. Was very perplexed by the enhanced custom shooter usage from the Ork team in Game 2, which I think cost them the war bosses were not quite as effective as they perhaps could have been. Only my opinion though. Apothecary coming in, getting some bolt pistol shots on those shooters and takes one out. The other shooter squad in that heavy cover, Tactical Marines getting a heal, and with Tactical Marines in heavy cover it's very difficult to deal with them, especially with the health regen aura from the Apothecary nearby. Orks pushing the north though, none of the VPs natural on this map. Contested northeast, central and southwest. Codex has power to defend here, and sluggers are in on his generator with melee attacks. They do not have their burners, but it doesn't look like they're going to need them here. Big shooters up for the shooter boys. You get two of them in the squad. Increased DPS and aiming, what's that? 398268. Power is not decapped though. Tactical Marines coming out to try and get some models off these sluggers. There is a war. Sluggers getting low, needs to retreat them and lost models needlessly there, I think. Toilailee. His mech boy trying to teleport in and tie things up. Scouts did lose two models, and the mech boy does reasonable damage with his default shooter being tied up himself by the Force Commander. Teleports out, tries to get a model off these Tactical Marines, which have extended themselves quite dramatically to try and get models off these shooters, and they do lose a model themselves. 494, 468. Shooters down to 2, suppress them and run, and these guys also running. Tactical Marines take another one down in retreat. In fact, it was the Force Commander who did so, and he levels to 2 already. Wow. Looters up for Tex. We have Storm Boys on the way for Toilailee. Submarines for Riku jumping in, disrupting a whole blob of Orks. Codex also with Assault Marines up. 494, 451, a double cap for the Ork players in this Game 3, this deciding game of this best of 3 series. Mech boy backing off the Force Commander, gets a chainsaw hit in but doesn't chase. His scouts back capping his wreck. Something's capping mid, it's Assault Marines. This wreck point uncapped, and Flamer Tactical Marines will try and hit power here. Looters though are lurking, can't set up though under pressure. Apothecary will go and tie them up. Can the Tactical Marines get a generator down? Might be able to. Assault Marines are there, and they capped mid. It's a 2-to-1 now. Double shooters and sluggers having to come through this very tight passageway here. Looters almost losing the entire squad down to 1 model, and they get away. Sluggers now in amongst Tactical Marines. They need a heal, and there it is. Sluggers with war can be dangerous for Tactical Marines, especially when they have their burners up. Apothecary just about gets away. 494, 414. Good pressure here by Riku. There's a stun bomb. Tactical Marines get stunned. Assault Marines though bullying those shooters. And here comes that Commando knob, does awesome damage with that default twin link shooter, but at the moment he just wants to tie up these Tactical Marines and stop them from burning down these generators. 481, 414. Excellent pressure here from Riku. Toilailee forced off while heavy losses on his sluggers, get away with 1 model. Shooters also losing 2. Assault Marines took a lot of damage though, but that's what they're there for, soaking up damage and disrupting stuff in tier 1. Looters for Tex, reinforce 1 model will come back out. Tactical Marines get away, didn't lose a model either. Assault Marines jumping and looters just keeping up the pressure here. Double shooters now dacketing away, and look at the DPS those guys do. Assault Marines might lose a model. They can jump out, need 55 energy to do so. 456, 414. Looters are going to wipe. Or are they? Assault Marines jump out and lose a model. That was lucky. Looters with under 30 hit points at some point. 444, 414. Force Commander takes the northeast. Full gens up, both top and bottom for Space Marines. 4 gens up for the Orks, but this one doesn't have a node on it. Scouts capping mid. Might get a triple cap here, or maybe not. Something's decapping the southwest. It is shooters. And now we see this power harass. You see these 2 power points. Quite difficult to defend because of the proximity they have. 410, 414. Flamer Tactical Marines forcing off shooters, but not forcing melee, going straight for the generators now. Apothecary in there. No war gear for this guy yet. Beautiful retreat grenade from Dark Riku. Wow, almost wiping those sluggers. I think sluggers are 22 rec to reinforce. It's not cheap considering they're not the most effective unit ever without upgrades. Quite slow. Once you get them in there, they can be useful. 396, 414. Shooters in retreat, and lots of pressure on this power still by Riku. Sluggers not reinforcing, so I can't see how much they actually are. 396, 410. Codex with his Power Sword Alacrity build levels up to 3. Orc players in tier 2. Codex has been the last to go tier 2 in every game, I think. Assault Squad in retreat now. Sluggers still not being reinforced by Tex. Using his requisition instead to get a weird weight on the field quickly. Tactical Marines taking damage from shooters, but turn to engage the Storm Boys that Toilailee has, and there's a battery pack heal. Disappointed that we haven't seen any Pain Boys from Toilailee and Tex. I think can be quite useful against Tactical Marines. Gives you another power weapon out there to tie up those tacks and put pressure on Assault Marines as well. Of course, Storm Boys do have their Nobby queued up for tier 2. 75-25 to get that guy on the field. Sluggers whacked for Tex. What the heck happened? Weird Boy gets jumped, but they are going after the looters instead and get a model off them, getting a bit too close to base here. Look at this pressure at the bottom for Dark Riku. Constant. Gets a sergeant for his Assault Marines. There is the zap on the Tactical Marines. Will do damage every time it jumps to another squad, but it doesn't jump because Riku ran his stuff away. Down goes the Force Commander. He was getting way too close there. 361, 407. The Apothecary can revive things with his heal. I think most healing abilities do revive, but he can't. He won't get XP for it. Assault Marines jumping out. The Warp Vomit a bit too late. That's a nice grenade as well as the scouts backed off. 350, 407. Codex 3/4 of the way to tier 2. I thought we were going to see a quick death thread or something, but no sign of it. Toilailee losing his sluggers also at some point. 342, 407. These Assault Marines have just been absolutely devastating. Haven't been able to deal with them at all. I thought maybe we'd see the Assassin's Knife for the Kommando, but no sign of it. No sign of any war gear, in fact, for him. There's lots of power harass here. Easy to say, easy for me to say to get death threads and pieces of war gear, but not so easy when you don't have the power to do so. Tex getting some Storm Boys of his own now. Knows his power. Looters tied up by scouts in melee. But the awesome attack off the Weird Boy knocks them down. Assault Squad losing a model, but it wasn't the sergeant, so not a huge deal. 340, 390. There's the 2-1 for the Orc. Toilailee in peril. Lost his commander. Lost his other Shooter Boy squad and only has shooters and Storm Boys now. Assault Marines jumping out without another loss. Reasonably lucky. Toilailee asking for a resurrection. Codex gets a Razorback out. We saw some awesome Razorback play in game 1 of this quarterfinal from Dark Riku, which they went on to lose, of course. Tactical Marines losing a model in retreat, and now we have a power harass from the Storm Boys. 340, 382, 1-to-1. Power completely broken there by Codex. Toilailee thinks it's all over, having lost so much things. So much stuff. And Weird Boy is on the way. 340, 375, double cap for the Orks, but that's friendly fire from the Weird Boy, which is always a risk. And that did a lot of friendly fire there. Assault Marines now in amongst the Weird Boy. Lots and lots of damage after that knockback. Might finish him off if it wasn't for those looters. I think he would have gone down. They might jump after him again, but instead jump the looters. 340, 349, shooters forcing off scouts who lose a model. Looters are going to wipe, and in fact do wipe. Big losses for the Orks. 340, 337. Still a double though. Space Marines taking northeast. It's scouts, and they do so. Raise it back up. Don't have anything to directly go up against it apart from the Stormboy Nob Leaders. Both of these commanders can get awesome anti-vehicle weapons, but the Commando's rocket launcher is a tier 3 weapon. We do see the beamy death gun for the mech. He needs to set up what packs a real punch when you hit something with it. 337, 330. Razorback using the line of sight of the walls to block the shots, but here comes the mech boy using his teleporter to get in range. There is the smoke grenade. Mech goes down in retreat. Weird Boy attack again, helping out. 321, 330. Assault Marines are forced off after that. We do have Stone Guard veterans for Dark Riku, the first we've seen in this series, I believe. Have their Hellfire rounds loaded in, as you'd expect versus Orks. Awesome damage versus commanders and light infantry. Shooters fully upgraded, Nob Leader and big shooters decapping the northeast, but there's the triple cap. 291, 330. There's Zap on Codex's tactical marines. Now needs to keep them away from allies so it doesn't jump, and does so. Stormboy's jumping in, going after the Razorback, I think. Yes. Rear armies, look at the damage. And the beamy death gun got a shot. Mech Boy almost goes down, in fact does go down to the damage over time of the Hellfire round. 264, 330. There is the full auto on the Weird Boy, and he gets up and runs. 358, 330. Apothecary levels up, he's level 4. Picking models off of those shooters with these bolter. Look at that. 256, 330, 1-to-1. What is this up here? Shooters still capping. Orks have no generators up at all. And the Space Marines go tier 3. Look how much red Toilailee has. Could drop a rocks if he was tier 3. Death Tread on the way for Tex. 256, 326. Shooters finish that power cap. Might be worth it to try and put a node up there. Here comes the Force Commander to have a word. Gets a smack with his power sword. There we go. What level is this guy? Level 4. Both Space Marine Commanders level 4, level 2 and level 3 for the Orks. No war gear up on his Commander knob. Assault Marines forcing off. Stormboys, look at the damage those Hellfire rounds are doing. Good grief. Almost loses the entire squad down to a single model. 254, 315. Commander knob doesn't level up after reviving the mech boy there. Death Tread now stomping around. Might see the Stone Guard switch to their Vengeance rounds momentarily. Do not see, well, we do see Thunder and Lightning on the way for Riku's Assault Marines, and also Codex's Riku well into tier 3. Could drop Terminators right now, in fact. Is he waiting for a Land Raider instead? Might be. That was the Weird Boy blowing up, was it? Very rarely do you actually see it hit anything with its death explosion, but there you go. Death Tread with his burners and bits. Glad we've seen these out in, I think, all 3 games, haven't we? 212, 315. Apothecary heals himself, turns to engage the Death Tread with his bolter, which won't do a lot. Shooters in a firefight with scouts. Strangely spread out though. Here comes the Death Tread after the scouts himself. Gets a model with 1 hit. Not quite the second one though. 200, 315. There's the Melter Bomb. Vengeance rounds. Stone Guard quite get the line of sight they need. There we go. And Terminators called in by Deep Strike are forcing melee with their power fists. 2-to-1 cap. Space Marines looking very, very strong. Death Dread trying to flee. Should be okay, I think. Needs to get this stuff out and rolling. Has some tank busters. 185315. Razorback still around for Codex. Has the reinforced armor plating and is level 2. So up to 640 hit points, which isn't bad. Still the Vengeance rounds putting DPS on that Death Dread. Buffed a little while ago, so they are a decent AV option. Looks like Orks are done for here. Will that Melter Bomb finish off the Death Dread? Yes it does. 185313. Terminator is now backing off. Lots and lots of red for the Ork team, but they can't really do much with it. And now a Whirlwind coming up for Dark Riku. 179313. Scouts capping the northeast. Assault Squad level 3 for Codex, and for Dark Riku very, very nearly level 4. Just need to look at a Shooter Boy funny and they'll level up. 161313. We have, where are the Stern Guard? Yeah, they are mid with Hellfire rounds loaded. 149313. Storm Boys jumping into Terminators, and we know how dangerous that is. Terminators having to teleport out. These guys can't retreat, of course, but the Storm Boys giving up that chase. What are they doing? Now they jump again. Apothecary forced off. Can they get some devastating losses with these Storm Boys and come back into this? There's the triple cap for the Space Marines. Riku with a full retreat. Terminator is just walking back, but are stunned by Storm Boys. Need to engage with both the Storm Boys. Call the boys by Tex. Nope, he's telling Toilailee to use it, I think. 95313. Did he use it? I'm not sure. Don't think he did. 90313. It's the 2-to-1. Toilailee losing a lot of stuff. And there's the G, not the GG by Tex. 85313. Look at the map. And there is the concede by the Orks. Good performance by the Space Marines, kept strong, did not bleed, and some really quick devastating losses for the Orks in tier 1 pretty much set up the loss. There was so much pressure on this power, they just couldn't get stuff out quickly enough in tier 2. And Codex and Dark Riku proceed to the semi-finals. Thanks for watching guys, I will see you next time.